Hey, how we doing? Episode 2, gamers. That first episode, it came in swinging. It was a bit of a polarizing episode for people who have played the video game because of just how different this show is. And there have been complaints on that effect. There's been complaints all over the place about the staunching differences between the video game and the TV show. Some of them are valid, I must say. However, I think it's important to remember differences between mediums doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. Honestly, I think it is rather healthy, if anything. I think it's very important for a medium to take its own spin on a story. That doesn't mean to run off away with the brand name and just call it good. That means to take the core of what makes that story the story and have your own spin with it. Different mediums have different rules. Like comic books, for example, has the little thought bubbles. You know, that's a rule for comic books. You gotta have the little thought bubbles. For books, it's different, like perspectives. You can get really into the details of what is happening in a scene in a book, and you can also mess around with perspectives. You can get into the person's head and directly write down exactly what that character is thinking. Those are just a few examples, but different mediums will result in different styles of a story. And I think The Last of Us is a good example of how you adapt a story very well. Anyways, before I get a little too deep into it, I wanna wait until I give away too many details until we get a little deeper into the show. Episode 2, Infected. With that last episode, this rest of the season was hyped. Again, this is a rare occurrence where I watch the series as the episodes drop. Typically, I'm one to hang back and wait for things to come out fully and wait for the word to really die of the show, and then I'll hop in. I didn't watch Breaking Bad until like 2021 for the very first time. I know, it's crazy. And I didn't even watch Game of Thrones or read the books until like 2021 either. You know, I like to wait for things to die out. But special occasions, gents. Typically, I don't really want other people's opinions to like swarm my own, you know. I want if something's really hyped, I don't want to go into it with something already in my head, you know? Anyway, episode 2. This episode is very pretty. It really shows the post-apocalyptic nature. Nature is completely starting to take over the surrounding area, and we really get to see that Last of Us aesthetic of nature retaking humanity. But this time around, we have another strange opening in Indonesia, where people speculate the fungal virus originated. These opening sequences rock. They're really using the new medium of television to its fullest potential, showing things that both new and old fans will be intrigued by. A scientist, or a professor rather, is interrupted from her lunch and is brought in by the military. She asks if she's committed a crime. She is confused on why she is being brought in. She has to walk briskly with the soldier in order to keep up. She's brought to look at a sample underneath a microscope, and she's like, "Yo, dog, that's cordyceps. What's up with that?" And they're like, "Dog, it came from a human." She's then brought to the body. Can't really show much since there's nudity, but she examines this body, and she notices a bite mark on the person's ankle. She slices the bite and see the little disgusting fungi that has grown inside. She opens the mouth and pulls out tendrils. It is truly disgusting. And then she goes like, "Bro, we need to burn everything down. Burn the city. Burn the country. We're fucked." She basically says, like, bomb it all. A true nightmare scenario. Great. I love these openings. Sadly, we don't get any more openings like these. It's a sad thing, but I loved these openings. I love them. Ellie is sleeping on a pile of moss. It does look comfortable, I'll admit. It's just a little funny. She turns and Joel and Tess are staring, not trusting that bite. I wouldn't either, guys. I don't blame you. Her arm isn't getting any worse, though. There's not really much to do. It's completely healed. It really is just an old bite. They travel through Boston that's seen better days. It is beautiful in a really weird way. Everything is basically gone. It does capture the aesthetic that the game had. This world that nature has taken over, it's pretty. Tess asks about the bite. Ellie snuck into an old mall in the QZ that was boarded up. She was sneaking around and got unlucky. She's 14. She does have a fun game reference. She asks about the stories about bloaters and clickers. They have some banter back and forth while traveling through the overgrown city. These scenes feel very, video gamey. Like, they're just kind of like bantering back and forth like we would when we're just walking around. This episode's very, I don't know, it's very weird. I don't know what it is about it. They're just kind of walking around, and fair enough. I don't mind it. It's just a little weird. You know, that first episode was really back to back, like conversation, dialogue. Let's move it. Now we're just kind of walking around. Part of the hotel they're traveling through collapsed on itself, and Tess had to climb through the rubble, leaving Joel and Ellie alone with each other for some time. They have some smart-ass banter back and forth with each other. Their conversation starts to get slightly deeper before Tess comes back to open the path for them. Now, we do learn something interesting about these infected. This version of infected, that is. The fungus that grows underground connecting pockets of infected in a weird, like, hive mind. It's cool. It's really cool. However, I do have one big problem with it. This whole like hive mind way to go about it's very interesting. However, it doesn't come up again. Like, at all. After this episode, it does not come up again. I think it's very convenient for what's about to happen at the end of this episode. I think it's very convenient that this is how the ending of the episode ends. Because fungus, that doesn't pop up ever again. Somebody trips over a bit of fungus, suddenly you have an entire swarm of zombies upon you. It's horrifying. It's a horrifying thought. Like, you're just walking around and you trip over a little piece of fungus, and then all of a sudden an entire horde of zombies. I don't mind the change. It doesn't really do anything to the story unless you're watching this very episode. I don't mind the change. It's just not really important to the overall story in general. Kind of weird. They come across a museum that's blocking their path to the rendezvous building, and it has fungi just growing all over it. Most of it looks dead, though. It's real spooky. Spooky inside, dead fungus all over the damn place. Ellie finds a body around the corner that's indicating they're still infected, in fact, still alive somewhere in this building. And the dude was brutally mauled by some kind of infected. Ellie's like, bro, what can do something like that? And Joel is on high alert now. And now Joel and company is going to stealth mode.
Okay, from this point forward, we are silent.
This guy has an idea on who can do something like that, and it ain't no normal infected. The scene gets real intense as Joel and company walk slowly upstairs. As they enter a big room upstairs, part of the building collapses behind them. This commotion spooks the infected in the building, and we hear that sucker. It's a clicker! These spooky bastards use sound. After years of infection, the fungi have completely blinded them, so they use like echolocation. They're very spooky, and they do them justice here. They are genuinely a threat here. They should be taken very seriously. And the reveal is so badass as well. They look great and horrifying. I love it.
Hey, that's pretty good.
This is definitely the highlight of the episode. The clicker comes around in front of the group. Ellie makes a slight noise, spooking the clicker, forcing Joel to shoot up the dude. This then turns into a whole scene similar to the games, and a bunch of clickers running around. Everybody's running around. Joel uses a clever trick by shattering some glass as he's running by, distracting the clicker. This whole episode is very reminiscent of the video games. Then there's this really intense shot of him silently reloading the revolver as the clicker is behind him. Oh, camera pans in on Joel's face, but we still hear the clicks getting louder and louder behind him. He then flips his flashlight around and see the clicker right there, and then it gets distracted by another noise. Oh, this scene is wild. They're finally able to take care of him, though, even if it made my booty pucker a little bit. Tess seems a little out of it afterwards, but apparently it's just a little twisted ankle. Ellie gets nicked again and jokingly said, well, if it was gonna happen to one of us. Tess tenses up. She says, let's get the fuck out of here. What are you hiding there, Tess, huh? What are you hiding there? They group up on the roof. Joel once again complains about Ellie not trusting the situation. Tess gets snippy with him, saying, why don't you just take some good news, huh? Tess had a switch up on our boy. What's going on there, Tess? Joel stands on the roof with Ellie for a moment, while Tess deals with her twisted ankle. Joel has a slight concern on his face. For me, at least in the video game, this was the moment Joel realized he cared for Ellie. Though in the show, we got that like flashback of Sarah with the soldier, so maybe it was earlier. Maybe it was just a trauma response, soldier, little kid. Maybe that triggered something in him that made him react that way. He sees himself actually caring for this girl in this moment. I don't know. In my mind, this is the moment. This is the moment where Joel's like, yeah, damn it. I'm starting to care for this person. They finally make it to the building that they're supposed to rendezvous rendezvous at, but it's quiet. Everyone fucking died. And Tess isn't acting herself and basically drags Ellie into the building. No one is there though. She starts looking for a map to where Ellie was supposed to go, and she's getting frantic. Ellie is a smart one though, and she gets it. Tess got bit. Joel demands Tess to show him. He's a bit more distant here than the game, even holding onto his pistol. And I guess 20 years in the apocalypse will, like, I don't know. In the remake part 1, Joel has a lot of emotion here. I don't know how a CGI character carried more emotion than a live action actor, but whatevs. I think Pedro Pascal just took that scene into a different direction, which is, I guess, fair enough. But I liked Joel in part 1's reaction much more, because their relationship was already subtle, and that reaction to the bite just showed how much he actually does care for her, even if they didn't show it very often. It was just a confirmation there, like, hey, yeah, Joel and Tess's relationship was serious. Like, guess how many, I don't even want to know how many times Joel has seen somebody get bit and turn in the 20 years of this apocalypse. And if somebody like that still has that reaction out of him, then it just shows just how much he does care for her. But in this scene in the show, Joel is distant. He kind of like checks out. And I kind of know why. Joel, this version of Joel disassociates a lot. He checks out a lot. And I think that's what they're trying to convey here, that Joel disassociates. And Joel's much more anxious of a person. It's just fair enough. It just doesn't land here. At least if you've played the game, it just doesn't land for me. And we spend a lot more time with Tess in the game, just because you're walking around with Tess, talking to her. It's just one episode with Tess in the show, so like it doesn't hit as the same. Tess begs Joel to take Ellie all the way, since everyone here is dead. One of the Fireflies awakes as a zombie. Joel quickly puts him down, but the tendrils that we spoke about earlier awakes a horde nearby. Tess, being the girl boss, she demands them to go while they still have time, and she sacrifices herself for the team. She uses the barrels of like fuel there to like, she's gonna blow up the building while they run away. And Joel is silent, he's quiet, and he suddenly just drags Ellie out and makes it out before the building goes boom. She uses the gas barrels and she kabooms the whole place. She also has this weird makeout session with one of them. I don't know what that's about, but It's a scene, but I honestly like it better in the video game. I like Tess, man. We don't spend a whole lot of time with her here, and it just doesn't land the same. She may not have been romantically involved with Joel, but they were still partners, you know? They were there to lean on each other for emotional support, if anything. And in the video games, I don't know, there's just a lot more there. This is one of the few times in this entire season where I strongly prefer the video game over. Another thing, it was Fedra in the game swarming the building, not infected. And Tess goes out like an absolute girl boss and fights her way until she dies. You know, she actually takes out a few soldiers, and she goes out fighting. Personally, I'll take that over her making out with a zombie. Overall, it's an okay episode that just kind of flew by, honestly. Like, not a whole lot happened. They walked around, and I don't really have a whole lot to say. I think they showcased the zombies very well. I think the clickers are horrifying and gorgeous, and I think the scenery is gorgeous, and they really showcased the overall aesthetic of Last of Us very well in this episode. I just think the hitting points, like Tessa was obviously the biggest part of this episode, I just don't think it really landed, because that whole thing about the zombies and the tendrils underground does not come up at all throughout the season. I think it's just a very lazy way for them to use the zombies there. I don't know why they couldn't just use Fedra again. I don't know why. I don't know why it had to be the zombies. This version of Joel disassociates in this show, and we kind of see it for the first time here. He zones out, internalizes what he has to do, and then does it without much thought. That is for the benefit for future moments. Other than that, it is an episode that just kind of blew past me, because it was mostly them just traveling through Boston. It's the biggest negative episode for me. That being said, I still did enjoy it. Me saying these things doesn't mean I dislike this episode. I overall love Last of Us that much, and you know, I can nitpick my favorite shows, okay? I just think if you expect me to care about a character dying, like maybe have them do more, I don't know. But I will say, next episode is a wild episode, alright? It is a wild one. So, I'll see you all later. Goodbye.
Infected.